House of Representatives passes Defense Industries Corporation of Nigeria Act. House commends unified foreign exchange rates for Nigeria. And House constitutes 134 standing committees. Hello and thanks for joining us on You and Your Reps on the NTA. I am Olajide Bello. Welcome to the program. The House of Representatives has passed the Defense Industries Corporation of Nigeria Act 2004 Repeal and Reenactment Bill. The bill is to provide comprehensive framework for regulating and manufacturing, distribution, storage and disposal of defense articles in the country.
The Defense Industries Corporation of Nigeria Bill, when signed into law, is expected to facilitate the provision of military technologies for the armed forces and boost research activities in the defense sector of the country.
The bill is hereby read for the third time and passed.
On growing incidents of flooding in parts of the country, the Green Chamber requested relevant agencies to provide succor for victims.
Alasawa, Jaba, Poren Akuya, and Kwakwachi 2, all in Fege local government area of Kano State. These areas, Mr. Speaker, are facing severe and destructive environmental degradation and poverty as a result of erosion and flood.
Osun State University Campus Road, Ikire, has been taken over by flood. Ikire Federal Express Junction taken over by flood. This is the main federal government road from Ibadan to Ife.
Lawmakers expressed concern over unemployment rate in the country and reached a resolution.
To urge the National Directorate of Employment to undertake a survey and develop a database that would track employment status of graduates and core members, which will be essential for evidence-based decision.
Also of concern is the spate of insecurity in parts of the southeast.
Urgent appeal for the House of Representatives of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to use its oversight function in resolving cases of multiple assassination and selfless killing in Amechu 1 and Obago Konano communities for the interest of justice, law, and order.
Meanwhile, the House asked the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission to urgently address cases of exploitation of electricity consumers by the DISCOs.
To discontinue the assertive practice of estimated or arbitrary billing, and with immediate effect put in place an effective military plan which assures consumers of fair billing.
I am equally a direct victim, and my father is equally a direct victim of attitudes of these DISCOs because they are not properly regulated.
Those in support of this motion should say aye. Those against should say nay. The ayes have it. This motion is referred to the Committee on Power when constituted.
There was consensus that the volume of gas being flared in the country could be converted to electricity for the benefit of host communities that suffer devastation.
Flared gas resources, a major and cheap source of electricity, capable of taking care of the power needs of the host communities and even beyond, that can in turn stimulate the economic growth of the country through small and medium-scale businesses.
Is to set up an investigative hearing with a view to unraveling why gas is flared instead of it converted to electricity.
Already, the House Ad Hoc Committee has commenced investigative hearings on gas flaring activities in the country. Representative Ahmed Munir, who chairs the Ad Hoc Committee, is optimistic that gas flaring fines running into billions of dollars will be recovered from erring oil and gas companies.
In addition to wasting a valuable source of energy, flaring has a negative impact on human health, the climate, and the environment. The House therefore urged NOSDRA to provide the House with specified information on companies involved in flaring within 2 weeks, including the amount flared and penalty costs in the last decade for both local and international oil companies.
Flooding has been a serious concern for members in various constituencies. The situation led to a motion from Representative Muhammad Bello Shehu. The Kano State legislator emphasized the need to address the flood incidents in Gamawa Federal Constituency.
There is this particular drainage system within the local government that I mentioned in the motion, Korungogo. That drainage system almost cut across. It's the one feeding the main drainage system that takes every drainage out of Kano. It has been there, if I say, for 100 years. I don't think I'm getting the figures wrong. It has aged, it has filled up. So whenever it rains, the people that are settling within the border of the drainage system would normally they have sleepless nights. Their houses flood, loss of property, the economic situation, the hardship is a lot. And then the same thing with the issue of the erosion problem bedeviling the other side of my constituency from Emma, Tagabas, Kwacheri, up to Kwakwachi. It's so bad that houses are being sinking into the erosion. There was a time I paid a visit during one of the campaign period. You see half of a house is gone. People are so poor that they cannot even erect a small fence to cover up. They use nylon bags and what have you. It's devastating to see human beings live like that, while there are funds ordinarily set aside for that particular problem to be solved. I wonder why in the past our former representatives could not press on that funds for that particular problem to be solved. So what we seek to achieve by moving this motion is to call the attention of the federal government to that particular community. After all, that is why we are here, to draw the attention of government to a particular problem in our constituencies so that federal government can intervene where necessary.
Another major motion passed by the House at plenary is the one calling for the rehabilitation of federal science, technical and vocational education across the country. Representative Mark Essett is the mover of the motion.
I moved a motion which seeks to draw government attention for the rehabilitation of the Federal Technical and Science College at Okanaford, which is a vocational-based secondary school and other vocational institutions across the country. Because you look at the current situation in Nigeria now, where white-collar jobs are no longer readily available, and there is need for self-reliance. And this can only come up when, as children from secondary school, are being taught the skills that can enable them to be self-reliant at the verge of leaving school, probably where there is no white-collar job. Look at China, for example, becoming one of the best economy nations in the world now, because they have really studied and understand that for your economy to improve and for you to bring up the standard of living, there must be availability of skilled, semi-skilled, and even unskilled labor. So once the federal government implement this motion, I feel it will go a long way to drastically reduce the level of unemployment we are having now in Nigeria.
Kudos to Mr. President. This is the disposition of the House of Representatives as members commended the unified foreign exchange rate in the country, while maintaining VAT market forces a key determinant of forex. In tune with this, the lawmakers rejected a motion seeking federal government measures to stabilize the Nigerian currency and foreign exchange rate.
The motion by Representative Benny Lar on the need to stabilize the naira and foreign exchange rate stirred up a debate among members.
Which is actually a good policy. I have nothing against the unified exchange system. But government must put in place deliberate policies to stimulate economic growth in the country. We have to stimulate our own domestic production.
It's asking us to go against what we initially supported. And that is the issue of marginalization and the floating of the naira,
which all Nigerians supported.
My dear colleagues, let me ask one simple question. Are you telling us not to urge the federal government to take steps to stabilize the naira?
The issue of exchange rate cannot be done by fiat. It has to be done by the market forces. You cannot say today naira should be 200 or 100 naira.
This government inherited Nigeria in the last less than 60 days. It's too early to start judging the performance of this government with regards to the issue of exchange rate. We are all aware of the reasons why there is escalation in the price of dollar to a naira.
And the presiding officer puts the question.
Those in support of the prayers of this motion say aye. Aye. And those against say nay. The nays have it. Honorable colleagues, the policy of government to unify all the foreign exchange markets is a good policy in the right direction.
The House adopted several motions on roads rehabilitation and flood control measures in parts of the country.
A motion on the need to speed up rehabilitation of Bogan, Iwo, Oyo Road of Osun State.
Resolve and urge the Federal Ministry of Works to commence work on the dilapidated Amukbe Eku Agbo Federal Road.
To engage the Federal Ministry of Environment, Ecological Fund Office to come up with a lasting work plan to arrest the erosion and flooding problem experienced by the people of Apagatu Federal Constituency.
You need to address the menace of gully erosion in Oron and Ikeya community in Okobo local government area of Akwa Ibom State.
Possible hike in electricity tariff has been a controversial issue in recent times, with many Nigerians and House members expressing concerns. Members spoke to UN reps on the issues and possible solutions.
Problem of it is that I'm not even using electricity because it's pure scam and fraud. In the sense that I came in 2019. From 2019 to now, I provided 86 transformers. I've done rural electrification. When I do all this thing, I hand over to NEPA, NDDC. When I hand over to NDDC, if there is anything that's spoiled, I will still look for money to repair it. So, and they will now be giving estimated bill to the rural dwellers. So what I did now was able to start partnering with Cloud Energy. Cloud Energy is doing what is called a mini grid of solar in most of the community in my constituency. They have finished 2, and they are all working perfectly. So if by God's grace I'm opportune to see more things, to attract more things, to be able to do it in each of the community in my constituency.
Yeah, this is one of my bills that is coming up very soon. Some of the abundant project of power to generate power from Kachia. There is a place where contract has been awarded in order to upgrade the light situation in that area, and which has not been done. Those things are still on the pipeway, and I want to move a motion. I want to gather all my data so that I can propose a bill to, compel the contractors to go back to site and to make sure that those projects are complete. The materials are on site. The site has been fenced, but yet nobody, the contractor is not there. Some of them are even packing the things out of that site. So we need to know the remote causes of all this. And so by bringing a bill, it will compel the ministry to look inward and to see what they can be able to do.
Let's talk about the discourse themselves. The issue of the tariff that is continuously being hiked. Secondly, absence of infrastructures on the ground. By infrastructures, I mean transformers. Some places don't even have pole lines that would, and not in villages, so in city. Where I'm representing is a city. It's within the central of Kano State, but there are places that need poles and wires and transformers to be, so that these places can be electrified. So it's a very important motion too that was moved by a colleague.
Now, one of the most commonly used terms in a legislature. We spoke with Chairman House Committee on Rules and Businesses to talk us through the meaning.
A symbol of authority. The House cannot sit and take decision in respect of anything without the mayors being present. Now, depending on the situation, if the House is in plenary, now the mayors will be put on the upper deck. There are 2 decks now. If the House is in plenary, it will be on the upper. Once you see the mayors, it's in the upper deck, it means the House is in plenary. If the House resolves into Committee of the Whole or Committee of Supply or into an executive session, the mayors will be lowered will be brought down to the lower deck, which means it's not plenary. Issues will be discussed. Issues at committee, decision taken at the level of committee, would still be brought back to House in plenary to ratify and take final decision. Do you understand the difference now? If the gavel is in the lower deck, it means, if the mace is in lower deck, it means it is either a committee of the whole, which is the largest committee, or it is in a committee of supply to consider budget, approve budget, or an executive session.
Hike in electricity tariff is one issue that bothers Nigerians, so we asked people on the streets of Abuja for a possible way forward.
The electricity tariff is being expected. Definitely, energy is not cheap. It will go up. And, for every new change, there might be, something that is good that has to come out of it in the long run. It will teach us on how to become much more disciplined in the electricity usage as compared to the wastage that we do have and experienced before. Although the tariff, it's kind of moderate compared to other parts of the world, but comparing it to our earning capacity, like our minimum wage, it will definitely dip into the pocket of many people.
The electricity tariff, it affects me in so many ways because I make use of meter, because unlike the only days whereby you don't use meters, you don't actually know the effect of any hiking in electricity. But nowadays, whereby the moment you want anything in your house, your appliances, the way the meter reads, it's so alarming, the way it reduces. And whenever you want to buy a so amount of lights, the units in which they will give you is somehow small, and the rate at which the lights disappear is alarming actually. So it affects a lot of households, including me as well, because I have a lot of appliances that I make use of, and it's so alarming actually. It's not a good one.
I always employ the government of the day to keep on subsidizing the power supply, because that's just the only hope for the common man now, because since there's no more subsidy in respect to fuel, which is not even in the favor of the common man, because it's only the elites that has the full money to fuel their cars and the rest of it. So I would just employ the government to continue subsidizing the power supply.
The electricity tariff has been really affecting me because most times now the amount of money I used to buy the electricity before has increased, and the rate at which they deduct the money is also high, so it's not allowing me to use the light with the amount of money I used to buy it before to now. You know, let's say I buy an electricity of 10,000 naira. Maybe before I use it for maybe like 1 month or so, because I don't really use light or so. And now, buying electricity of 10,000 naira now, before, in fact, maybe I tried and I didn't use light at all. That's when I use it for 2 weeks, which is not good, which is not befitting, is not benefiting enough for us.
The House of Representatives has constituted and inaugurated 134 standing committees that will perform legislative oversight on other arms of government. Speaker House of Representatives Tajuddin Abbas wants leadership of the committees to consider the constitutional powers of oversight by the legislature as a means to promote good governance through compliance with the laws of the land.
It was an unusual 2-hour wait for the commencement of plenary as lawmakers discussed the expected standing committees. The arrival of the Speaker led to the subsequent announcement of the chairmen and deputies of the standing committees.
This system involves dividing the legislature into smaller component units, working groups, which aims to enhance efficiency, improve productivity, and enable detailed scrutiny of legislative instruments such as bills and motions.
Speaker Tajuddin Abbas emphasized that the selection of the leadership of the committees was in accordance with the capacities, skills, and legislative interests of members, stressing that there is nothing like juicy committee in the 10th Assembly.
Separation of powers does not mean separation of government. We are one and the same government with sole purpose of providing services to the good people of this nation.
In other motions, lawmakers called for the rehabilitation of eastern seaports in the country to address diversion of cargo and loss of revenue to seaports of neighboring countries, as well as protection of Nigerians from discrimination by foreign companies doing business in the country.
60% of containers shipped to West Africa, to West and Central Africa, destined for Nigerian markets, are diverted to ports in Ghana, Togo, Benin Republic, and Cote d'Ivoire.
The House also notes that the sterling policy of the government has opened the floodgate of foreigners into the country. Some are embarking on policies and actions that are anti-people and in flagrant disobedience of our laws.
2 bills were passed by the House. First, a bill for an act to amend the Niger Delta Development Commission Establishment Act 2000 and a bill for an act to amend the Electricity Act 2023 to address concerns of host communities. In the meantime, the House of Representatives has adjourned plenary for a 6-week recess.
And a new chairman of the House Committee on Reformatory Institutions, Chindu Oga, and David Umar, his deputy, have been speaking on how the committee will function in the 10th House.
I'm going to work with everybody. It's about sense of belonging. And the place where I was given a committee chairman is a very sensitive area. We have to do a lot of things there in transformation. We have to do a lot of things there to give a hope for those that feel that their hope is lost. We have to revalidate the mind of the people that those that are in detention, awaiting trial, or are already serving their terms, we should be able to give them hope, to find a way in which when they come out of the detention or the prison, they should be useful to their life. They should never think of going back to the crime. That is the major thing we're going to do. And there is already so many settlement of farms where reformatory and correction centers have. Those areas, what we are going to do is to make sure those farms is workable. To the extent we are going to enter into private partnership to get the people, so that most of the prisoners, the food and the ration they do by outside, they should be able to be having a food they can feed themselves, because they have a greater number of the people in that prison. And by doing that, it will help to generate revenue, it will help to increase the potential, it will help to give them a sense of belonging. Like now, we are going to do more to make sure that we have a functional education in all the prison services in Nigeria.
We together will put our hands together and to bring new innovations to the correctional system. We know there are a lot of challenges in the correctional system where justice were not done in early time. People were put in jail without trials and so. All these sector areas, we'll look into it to see how we can be able to correct and to make things work. I am happy to have Chinedu Oga as my boss, and I'll really hook onto him and tap from his experience.
And that's you and the reps for this week. We'll see you again next week with another package. I am Olajide Fellow.